Good morning. Welcome to the annual meeting of the Friendship Village of Dublin Resident Association. As the whole year has gone, this has been a transition this morning with some glitches in Channel 51 and the COVID restrictions of this week. So we are live streaming this. It is coming on Channel 51 and will be available on YouTube recording later. So we begin the meeting this morning with a report from the Associate Director, Seth White.
Thank you, Jean. Good morning, everyone, virtually. Rita's on some well-deserved time off, so I'm pinch hitting this morning. So really just going to touch on some high-level things and really, as you guys know, with our communication towards the end of last week, really had to shift, unfortunately, a lot of our operations due to COVID. So from a community perspective, positivity rates have been upwards of 35% in Franklin County, which is obviously touching a lot of our staff and a lot of our staff's families, which obviously makes operating very challenging when it comes to departments like culinary, ESS, our nursing teams. So we have been working hard to put contingency plans in place and really just taking it a 1 week at a time. So we know that Omicron has really increased the cases in Franklin County. Very hopeful as we watch that positivity rate daily that we will peak here soon and then have some droppage in positivity rate. And obviously that we will be working hard to get our operations back up and running as normal across the campus. So if you saw the update on the 7th, it really touches on a lot of the things that are suspended this week as far as independent living, apartment cleans, flat linen service, and then maintenance is emergency maintenance really through Friday, and we will reevaluate daily, like I mentioned. And then the culinary changes, which are back of our house, our cooking team has really been hit hard with COVID cases, and we continue to see challenges with that with our staff. So we appreciate everyone's patience with that. We are looking at it, like I said, really in a weekly snapshot to see when we can get healthy, so to speak, and get our teams back in place to provide the services you guys expect. So we do have town hall tomorrow, which will also be virtual. And we'll be able to provide some more details operationally in our town hall tomorrow, which will be live streamed as well at 10 a.m. On this very channel. So that is really my update for today. Just really can't thank the residents enough for your patience. Just for perspective, this time last year when we were really hit hard with COVID, positivity rates were 12, 13, 14%, and now we're seeing 30, 35%. So it's really a challenging environment, but thankfully everyone has remained healthy, and we attribute that a lot to our vaccination rates and getting the boosters and everything. But we just want to continue with our protocols to keep everyone safe here. So that is my update. Thank you, Gene. I appreciate you allowing me some time this morning.
The agenda of our meeting will include, we do need to acknowledge that minutes of our last meeting were recorded and were approved by the Executive Council. So minutes of all resident association meetings are available in a notebook in the library. The rest of this meeting, we will have reports from our officers, a report from the Nominating Election Committee, and the introduction of the new Executive Council members. So we will proceed with those parts of our meeting. Oops. Okay. I want to share with you some of my reflections of the last year. The year of 2021 brought many changes that we could not have expected, and the impact of the COVID pandemic was an important one that continues to affect us. At the beginning of the pandemic, I heard a podcast by Dr. Murthy, who is now our U.S. Surgeon General. He talked about how we can get ourselves through this period with isolation and find ways of living in a healthy way. Two of his suggestions have stood out in my mind and in my practices, and I have seen them in our life together this year. The first of those ideas is that of gratitude. During this year, the Executive Council began each meeting with individual sharing of the things for which we were grateful at that time. These ranged from gratitude of living at Friendship Village of Dublin to personal events that were very meaningful to us. Most of all, we expressed gratitude for the protections offered by Friendship Village that have kept us healthy in this environment. Reflecting on the year, my gratitude is for members of the Executive Council and the officers who have served you this year. The members of the council were the district representatives from each area of independent living units. These representatives have helped us to move through the COVID changes of the operations here. They were instrumental in communicating with each of you and helping you navigate through changes in visiting and dining arrangements and the communication methods of Zoom, live streaming, in-person gatherings, and Touchtown app. How many of those did we know a year ago? These representatives have helped to welcome new residents who have come to live among us this year. We are so glad to see new faces at every activity. I would like to thank the district representatives who have worked with the officers this year. Leaving the council after serving out their terms are the following representatives: Bob Bird, Mike Dunn, Nancy Irvin, Mary Lou Holloway, Bob Tinker, and Margaret Trent. The other representatives who served this year will continue another year of service. If we were in person, we would pause now to recognize these residents with a loud round of applause, but I ask you to please thank them as you see them in the halls. Leaving the officers group after serving in leadership for 3 years is Charlie Stearns. Charlie has served as vice president, president, and resident director on your behalf. Charlie has been a mentor for me and a leader in the group of officers as we have negotiated the changes of the last 3 years. Laura Hill has served as secretary-treasurer for this association for more than 5 years. We've lost track of how many it is. She is so good at the details of our work and the required records to be kept. She keeps us mindful of the requirements of our Constitution and bylaws. Larry Kennedy has served as vice president for the past year. He has brought new ideas and has been helpful in the writing of changes that we implemented this year. He is a strong advocate for the comments and suggestions that you have submitted on the cards each week. My list of gratitudes includes these 3 colleagues who have worked closely with me in leadership of the Resident Association this year. A major expression of gratitude in our community this year has been for the associates of Friendship Village. This is evident in the gratitude we express each day for those who serve us, clean our units, and maintain our facilities. This year, we were able to express that more directly in the notes that each of you wrote individually for each associate to receive a personal thank you note at Thanksgiving time. In December, the associates received the largest checks ever through the Associate Appreciation Fund, donations which you have made in lieu of tips through the year. The smiles and thank you notes from those associates lets us know their gratitude for your generosity. Other expressions of our gratitude for the associates have been expressed through the scholarship program and the Associate Emergency Fund. Gifts through the charitable giving funds have helped associates further their education and resolve emergency crises in their lives. The second healthy practice promoted by Dr. Murthy is service. Service to others gives us value in our lives. So many residents have provided services to other residents through the work on our resident association committees. The operations of the Associate Appreciation Fund, hospitality, library, village gardens, and workshop are maintained by your fellow residents. Other committees operate with ideas given in the committee meetings, which have strengthened many areas of our community where we serve beside the wonderful associates who lead our activities. The recent community fair gave you a glimpse of the many areas of interest from our residents. I know many residents will be participating in those committees in the coming year. Together, we provided service to the Dublin community. In conjunction with the Derby collections and celebrations in May, the Executive Council promoted a Derby challenge to collect food and raise funds for the Dublin Food Pantry. Your contributions resulted in 643 food items and $5,327 in cash donations. This service made an impact for families in Dublin through the summer months. A major work of the Executive Council this year was the preparation for the election of new officers for 2022. Changes during the COVID pandemic and a larger population of residents at Friendship Village meant that we would never return to our in-person meeting, hearing a nomination slate and raising our hands to vote for officers. The council worked through a process of changing first the Constitution in August, the bylaws in September, and a new voting process in October. The district representatives provided input to this process and were the ones who served as poll workers when you voted in the December election. They made this process work smoothly. I am also grateful for the careful and effective work of the nominating election committee, led by Jean Cahal, and it included Marcy Gass, Sonia Evans, Chris Wiat, and Dot Hecht. Thank them with your personal thanks for these people who worked on your behalf. In reflecting on this year, I have been grateful for the opportunities of service that this position has given me. I wish only good health, much happiness, and many friends for all of you at Friendship Village in the coming years. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Gene. Appreciate all the hard work you have done the last few years. I'm sure the council is very much benefited from your leadership. Reflecting back on my activities over the past year, most of the vice president duties center around trying to obtain feedback from the residents, mainly through the comment card distribution system set around in the various parts of Ashrung and Brandywine. What we typically look at is everything from food, IT, ESS, wellness, and so on, to see how people appreciate the various activities that the committees and the village basically undertake, and essentially try to utilize that information to improve the activities that goes on in the future. It's a function of things that I think really requires participation by the residents. Okay. I was surprised this year when I began doing this to see the number of responses that we get from the residents. I'm not quite sure why they are so low, but they range from a high about 20 to a low to about 5 or 6. That's less than 2 or 3% of the residents from the village. With that low numbers, it's almost impossible to draw any conclusion about the overall health or activities that are appreciated by the various residents, okay? So I'm asking people to, in the future, begin more participation to give feedback. And in the coming year, we're going to try to expand opportunities for you to do that. In addition to the comment cards that are located in various portions in this building, we are going to be asking our reps to be more proactive in soliciting information from you. Because the idea is really to enhance what we consider the premier retirement living area in the area. So with that, basically we'd like to move forward. So I'd like to, again, encourage you to begin thinking how you can provide feedback to us in the coming year. Next week, we'll be meeting with the new chairmen of the various committees and also with the first formal meeting of the Executive Council. And we're going to try to initiate areas that we can more actively solicit feedback from all you people in it. And so we look forward to an active area or active year next year and trying to enhance the already good programs that we experience here at Friendship Village. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Larry, for your report. As Secretary of the Association, my role is that of support to the officers, the district representatives, committees, and residents, and to facilitate communication between those groups, mostly in written form. Written communication has included the minutes of resident council and quarterly meetings. These minutes are available in a binder in the library. The committee reports given during the quarterly meetings are now combined by me and delivered to every resident for future reference. As we begin every new year, the reorganization of each of the 14 committees in the Executive Council requires new rosters with contact information to aid in timely communication throughout the year. As previously stated by the other officers, during this past year, several updates were made to the Resident Association Constitution and bylaws, requiring multiple revisions, notifications, and confirmation by the Executive Council and by the residents at large. The process for the election of the 2022 officers was revised extensively from previous years. This more transparent, inclusive, and secure process was the result of many meetings and revisions, resulting in a 9-page informational booklet and ballot, for which I was the secretary. We gratefully thank the front desk personnel for many hours of printing these reports and election materials.
Good morning. Jean shared the ideas and the thoughts about gratitude, and she was absolutely correct. We have so much to be thankful for as being part of this organization. And certainly I've learned in recent times here to learn a lot of gratitude for our board. During the 2021 year, the board dealt with significant issues in COVID, assuring the future of Friendship Village, staffing, sustaining financial positions in a solid fashion, completing the master plan, growing in operations into a larger organization, supporting associates, and that's just the short list of what could go on for some time. The board proceeded with the strength of confidence that a clear sense of purpose to address these and other major policy issues. They knew for sure that there obviously was be there to fulfill the mission of Friendship Village and provide for a bright future for residents. Most of the things that occurred within the board are well known by now. Let's review them, at least some of them, not all, to see what happened during the year. The first two, of course, were the biggies. The movement to self-management, as well as the creation of the Bridge Park project. The movement to self-management was approved, but in a bold move, really, necessary for the FVD operations to be developed and maintain future strategies. The action was not taken lightly. An in-depth, detailed examination of the project was conducted in minute detail for well over a year and a half. The transition process, no small task, has been done in a timely and effective manner, really thanks to the leadership team. And we can't spend enough time thanking that group for what they have done, because they have been the soldiers who have really carried out the needs and the changes to make self-management effective. The overall process, nonetheless, was still managed by the LCS Relationship Committee of the board. That committee was a part of subgroups that focused on human resources, IT, finance and insurance, communications, compliance, and marketing materials changes. The approval of the Bridge Park project was obviously a different nature. This project came to us, and we received the invitation from Crawford Hoying Development to engage in discussions relative to the possibilities of entering into such agreement. Ultimately, it was approved for a project containing 85 apartments in the Bridge Park area. Ultimately, it was carefully planned, and naturally, at this point, the planning has just been completed, and it will still take 2 years to make that actually become an operational reality. Beyond that, there remain several other things that are worth noting. One, of course, is the approval of a $30 million budget with $2.5 million capital projects included in all of that. Days in cash remain very healthy at well over the 900 mark, and the increase in independent living occupancy, apartment sales, still remains the top priority. In addition to that, the board the board monitored and followed and was pleased to see Friendship at Home reach 102 members, which was new, and reach profitability. One of the remarkable things that continues to be impressive with this board is its committee structure and the work that committees produce on a regular basis. That's 7 committees. These committees include the Executive Committee, which meets quarterly, Finance and Insurance monthly, Human Resources bi-monthly, Sales and Marketing monthly, Quality Assurance and Resident Relations bi-monthly, which also includes 2 meetings with the Executive Council, the Master Planning and Implementation Committee, which meets monthly, and Corporate Compliance, which meets quarterly. Let's take a look at, not all, unfortunately. It would be nice to be able to go through all 7, but here are just a few committees that stand out in terms of what they were doing this year and always. Finance and insurance is a natural one. The budget, of course, is also natural. But what is not natural necessarily or retuned by any means is the changes that are required in the financial systems and the accounting systems by virtue of going to self-management. And the same can be true with the insurance coverage and packages, which needed to be completely revised and started from scratch with a new provider. No small tasks, any of these. By the same token, human resources shared a big part of this transition. For payroll, for example, a whole new payroll system needed to be analyzed and developed and implemented. Staffing shortages continued, as we well know, unfortunately. Analysis of salary plans continued on a regular basis. And then, to the credit of the committee and to human resources, really spent a good deal of time analyzing and implementing new ways of recruiting that may, hopefully, in the future as time goes by, prove to be helpful in terms of trying to reach and trying to overcome the challenges that are naturally a part of shortages at this point in time, which the whole society actually faces. Additionally, the board approved a 3-year operational strategic plan. And this plan included sections devoted to excellence, master plan, growth and occupancy, financial viability, brand messaging and community engagement, wellness, and long-range planning. The key word here, or certainly one of them, is operational. This was a 3-year plan that really focused on operations and what happens within those particular categories. And again, a large part of that is fighting through societal issues as well as simply continuing to work to grow into a bigger organization. The board and its directors have 5 members that rotated off the board this year. Not too long ago, a Do You Know was published in conjunction with the board on the subject of how the board replaces directors, a new topic from that standpoint. 2 have been appointed, 3 are still in the process of being selected, and the selection process, as you could guess, is taken seriously and in a very critical way by the board. The board determines the type of candidates, qualifications, expertise, seriousness of their work in leadership and in boards, and of course their professional backgrounds. And then most importantly, carefully selects from a group of potential candidates those that best fit that kind of criteria. Lastly, in addition to the Do You Know on selection of officers, the board engaged and worked with in a collaborative way the association to publish 2 other Do You Knows during the year regarding the board. One had to do with organizational structure, and the other had to do with the expertise, who the board is, what they do, and how they go about doing it. So that's just some of the things that have been prominent on the board's mind and worked in very diligent ways, but that's changes from, okay, that's what was done, well, how are those things done? And I think it's important for us as residents to realize the focus and the quality of the processes that the board engages in making decisions of a policy nature for our behalf. It's what's done, but how is it done does make a difference. Friendship Village is not perfect. No one's saying that it is. There's always room for improvement in all times and always will be. Beyond that, the board is properly looking and focused on fulfilling the mission of Friendship Village to enhance the quality of life for older adults. The board responsibilities are performed with great care and thoughtful analysis, utilizing the very extensive experience of a diverse group. Of the 17 current members, the ones that have been members of the board up to this point, 17 of those are, 17 of the current directors, there are 20 different professional expertises that are represented around the table as decisions are made in thoughtful ways. It made me pause and think and reflect on what I have heard board members say. These are their words, they're not mine. But listening, it struck that this is the way they really sincerely feel about their jobs. And they devote significant time to them. Their words are things like diversity, caring for residents, fiscal responsibility, compassion, passion, wisdom, a privilege to serve, amazing people, cohesive group, perspective, dynamic, accomplished leadership team, knowledge and commitment. Again, their words, not mine, but it gives us as residents the confidence that this board is solely and completely focused on meeting the needs of residents now and certainly in the future. So as we put all of this together, 2021 was indeed a year of great transition. It was, in that sense, historic. Of the 40 years that Friendship has existed, none have been exactly like this in terms of transition. It underscores really the dedication of boards for residents and lays the foundation for Friendship Village in the future. Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to serve in this position.
I was privileged with gratitude to serve as chair of the nominating committee. Pursuant to the Resident Association Constitution, the nominating committee prepared a slate of candidates for the 2022 officers. Additional candidates were included through endorsements by 2 residents for each of those candidates. The election was held December 15th, with results posted on bulletin boards around campus and distributed to all residents that evening. I would like to introduce and congratulate the officers for 2022. Larry Kennedy, President. Mitch Mitchell, Vice President. Laura Hill, Secretary Treasurer. In accordance with the Ohio Revised Code, the residents also voted to have a resident director for 2022 and elected Gene Forbes. I offer my gratitude to the Nominating Elections Committee for their dedicated service. Sonia Evans, Marcy Gast, Dot Hecht, Chris Witt. My thanks also to Bill Miller, who assisted in counting the ballots because a member of the committee was unavailable. Thank you.
At this time, our new president, Larry Kennedy, will be introducing the district representatives for the coming year. And it is my privilege at this time to officially hand over the gavel as representation of the presidency of this association.
Thank you very much, Jean. Well, one of the pleasures I have is obviously introducing the new district representative, to the community. To introduce on the district representatives, okay, for 2022, we have, back up a little bit, 1 second. Okay, take Olivia from Ash Run 1 and Ash Run 2 South. Karen Carpenter from Ash Run 2 North and Ash Run 5. Ruth Foster from Ash Run 3. Sandy Cornett from Ash Run 4. Norm Falsey from Brandywine 1. Barb Lewis from Brandywine 2. Millie Hart from Brandywine 3. Ken Keller from Brandywine 4. Barbara Muller from Villas. Dick Turner from the Flats. Elvira Edwards from Riverstone 1 and 2. And Don Green from Riverstone 3 and 4. Okay. Now, in addition to that, we are basically going to adjourn from this meeting and set up the first executive council that has the responsibility for certifying the chairs for the 2022 year. So we'll take essentially a minute to close everything down and wish you a lot of luck in the coming year with the hopefully return to normality. And we look for all your help in trying to make this a more improved and happy place with the absence of COVID in 2022. Could I have a motion to adjourn? Okay. All in favor? Aye. The meeting adjourned, and we'll resume in 10 minutes, 10 minutes to 11 for the first meeting of the new executive representative. Thank you very much.